Hello beautiful humans and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kayla and I upload videos about all sorts of random things, as well as host the podcast Lifestyled and run the blog StyledByKaylaXO.com. I am here today with a very exciting video. It is my October TBR list, to be read list. Every month I choose 10 books from my collection of my actual TBR. My TBR right now is like, of the ones I own is like 40 or 50 books, and then it's even longer of books I haven't purchased yet. But I choose 10 that I really want to focus on for the month. If you haven't watched my September TBR, I will put the link in the description. As of today, which is September 27th, I have 1.5 books left from that TBR. I'm reading one right now, and then I have one more after that, so I'm hopeful that I'll finish it. Again, I will leave down below if I did succeed or not. It was kind of a rough one, because I got distracted by a lot of other new books in the month. So these are the 10 that I'm going to focus on. I will definitely read more than 10 books in October. Again, I read a lot. If you follow my Bookstagram, which is ReadWithKaylaXO, you would know I read very fast. I always have. I've just always had a very high word per minute reading rate since I was a little kid. And so I read really quick. So I get through a lot of books when I have the time to read. So that's why I choose 10 a month that I'm going to dedicate to. So if I at least get these 10 read, I will be happy. Most of the ones in this pile are ones I've actually had for a while that I haven't gotten to. So last month's had some things that were newer to my collection that I really wanted to read. This one is a pile that all but 2 of these I've had for more than 2 months. And have not gotten to. So I'm really excited to get to these. Just like in the September one, it's not a sequel, which none of these are sequels, so all of them. I will read the description of the book, and yeah, let's just get into it. So the first one is one that has been in several TBR videos of mine, and I still haven't read it. Surprise! And that is Buy Yourself the Fucking Lilies and Other Rituals to Fix Your Life from Someone Who's Been There by Tara Schuster. I got this one at Target a while ago and then never got to it. So let's read about it. Brutally honest, often hilarious, hard-won lessons in learning to love and care for yourself. By the time she was in her late 20s, Tara Schuster was a rising TV executive who had worked on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart and helped launch Key and Peele to viral superstardom. By all appearances, she had mastered being a grown-up. But beneath that veneer of success, she was a chronically anxious, self-medicating mess. No one knew that her road to adulthood had been paved with depression, anxiety, and shame, owing in large part to her minimally parented upbringing. She realized she'd hit rock bottom when she drunk dialed for her therapist, pleading for help. Buy Yourself the Fucking Lilies is the story of Tara's path to reparenting herself and becoming a ninja of self-love through simple daily rituals. Tara transformed her mind, body, and relationships, and in this book she shows you how to fake gratitude until you actually feel gratitude, excavate your emotional wounds and heal them with kindness, identify your self-limiting beliefs, kick them to the curb, and start living the life you choose, silence your inner frenemy and shield yourself from self-criticism, carve out time each morning to start your day empowered, inspired, and ready to rule. Create a life you truly, totally fucking love. This is the book Tara wished someone had given her, and it's the book that many of us desperately need. A candid, hysterically funny, addictively readable, practical guide to growing up no matter where you are in your life and learning to love yourself in a non-throw-up-in-your-mouth-it's-so-cheesy way. So that is Buy Yourself the Fucking Lilies. Super excited to read that. Let's stick on the nonfiction path. Why not? I have 2 more nonfiction books this month. So let's stick with those. The first one is Me and White Supremacy, which is one that I bought. Honestly, this one might not have been more than 2 months ago, because it was sold out for a really long time. Let's be real. So it is Me and White Supremacy, Combat Racism, Change the World, and Become a Good Ancestor. So awareness leads to action and action leads to change. When Layla F, I always forget how to pronounce her last name. I want to say it's Saad, but I could be wrong. Began an Instagram challenge called #MeAndWhiteSupremacy. So this book was created based off an Instagram challenge that she created into a workbook and then created into a book. And then is publishing a workbook too, I believe. It's gone through a lot of iterations. She never predicted it would spread so quickly. Using a step-by-step reflection process, she encouraged people with white privilege to examine their racist thoughts and behaviors. Thousands of people participated in the challenge, and more than 90,000 people downloaded the Me and White Supremacy workbook. See, there's that. Since then, the work has spread to families, book clubs, educational institutions, nonprofits, corporations, event spaces, and more. Based on the original workbook, Me and White Supremacy teaches readers to understand their white privilege and their participation in white supremacy so that they can stop, often unconsciously, inflicting damage on people of color and in turn help other white people do better too. At this time in history, more than ever before, people are asking what they can do to help dismantle white supremacy and where to begin. Layla Efsad answers, begin within, begin with you and white supremacy. So there's that. Yeah, I honestly don't remember when I bought this. I think I bought this one, could have been in August. I just don't remember when I found it because I know it was sold out for a long time, and I finally found it at Barnes & Noble back in stock. And so I grabbed it because it was one that was on my list to buy, and then I could never find it. And then I finally got a hold of it. Next, my last nonfiction for this month is Rising Strong, The Reckoning, The Rumble, The Revolution. If we are brave enough, often enough, we will fall. This is a book about what it takes to get back up by Brene Brown. So I don't think I've actually read anything by Brene Brown before, but like everybody loves her, so here we go. When we deny our stories, they define us. When we own our stories, we get to write the ending. Ooh, I like that a lot. I think I'm gonna like this. Social scientist Brene Brown has ignited a global conversation on courage, vulnerability, shame, and worthiness. Her pioneering work uncovered a profound truth. Vulnerability, the willingness to show up and be seen with no guarantee of outcome, is the only path to more love, belonging, creativity, and joy. But living a brave life is not always easy. We are inevitably going to stumble and fall. It is the rise from falling that Brene Brown takes as her subject in Rising Strong. As a grounded theory researcher, Brown has listened as a range of people from leaders in Fortune 500 companies and the military to artists, couples in long-term relationships, teachers, and parents share their stories of being brave, falling, and getting back up. She asked herself, what do these people with strong and loving relationships, leaders nurturing creativity, artists pushing innovation, and clergy walking with people through faith and mystery have in common? The answer was clear. They recognize the power of emotion, and they are not afraid to lean into discomfort. Walking into our stories of hurt can feel dangerous, but the process of regaining our footing in the midst of struggle is where our courage is tested and our values are forged. Our stories of struggle can be big ones, like the loss of a job or the end of a relationship, or smaller ones, like conflict with a friend or colleague. Regardless of magnitude or circumstance, the Rising Strong process is the same. We reckon with our emotions and get curious about what we are feeling. We rumble with our stories until we get to a place of truth, and we live this process every day until it becomes a practice and creates nothing short of a revolution in our lives. Rising strong after a fall is how we cultivate wholeheartedness. It's the process, Brown writes, that teaches us the most about who we are. So that is Rising Strong. So that is my nonfiction list. Now we get into the fiction, the fun stuff. No, honestly, I find nonfiction books so fun. There was a really long period of my life, and by a long period, I mean like the last 3 years before COVID struck, that all I read was nonfiction. But I've rediscovered my love of fiction this year, and there's a lot of it I need to read. So I'm just gonna grab things. The first one I have is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I picked this one up last summer on my way back from visiting my friend Maddie in San Jose. And then I didn't read it on the plane. And so it's just been sitting here, and I am finally going to read it. So, ooh. What happens when America's first son falls in love with the Prince of Wales? Dun dun dun. When his mother became president of the United States, Alex Claremont Diaz was promptly cast as the American equivalent of a young royal. Handsome, charismatic genius, his image is pure millennial marketing gold for the White House. There's only one problem. Alex has beef with an actual prince, Henry, across the pond. And when the tabloids get a hold of a photo involving an Alex-Henry altercation, U.S.-British relations take a turn for the worse. Heads of family and state and other handlers devise a plan for damage control, stage a truce between the two rivals. What at first begins as a fake, Instagrammable friendship grows deeper and more dangerous than either Alex or Henry could have imagined. Soon, Alex finds himself hurtling into a secret romance with a surprisingly unstuffy Henry that could derail the presidential campaign and upend two nations. It raises a question: can love save the world after all? Where do we find courage and the power to be the people we are meant to be? And how can we learn to let our true colors shine through? So that is Red, White, and Royal Blue, which is one like I feel like everyone's read. I have not, but now I'm going to. Next, we have something just a little fun, which is Joe and Laurie by Margaret Stoll and Melissa de la Cruz, which is obviously a like adaptation, rethinking of Little Women. So, yeah, I'm really excited about this. The back is more of a like teaser, the inside's more a description, so I'll read both. The back of the book says, people just keep texting me, that's fine. Laurie searched the crowd for one head of slightly mussed curls in particular. There. He could see her, just a glimpse from rows away. How it was, he couldn't have said, but he could always spy her. Crossing a field all the way from the road, walking a crowded street down the block. A particular gesture of her hand, the bend of her head, the lines of her he knew by heart, the colors he knew best. The speed of her, the liveliness, the spirit. The seat to her left, the seat that Laurie had bought for himself, was still empty, as if she were waiting for him. The others had long been given away, but this one she had kept, just in case, just as he would have for her. Gag me. Anyway. 1869, Concord, Massachusetts. After the publication of her first novel, Jo March is shocked to discover her book of scribbles has become a bestseller, and her publisher and fans demand a sequel. While pressured into coming up with a story, she goes to New York with her dear friend Laurie for a week of inspiration, museums, operas, and even a once-in-a-lifetime reading by Charles Dickens himself. But Laurie has romance on his mind, and despite her growing feelings, Jo's desire to remain independent leads her to turn down his heartfelt marriage proposal, and she sends the poor boy off to college heartbroken. When Laurie returns to Concord with a sophisticated new girlfriend, will Jo finally communicate her true heart's desire or lose the love of her life forever? #1 New York Times bestselling authors Margaret Stoll and Melissa de la Cruz bring us a romantic retelling of Little Women in which Jo March must decide whether she can be both a writer and a wife, and whether in giving away her heart she has more to gain than to lose. So, I probably will hate it, but I'm gonna read it and we'll see. I love Little Women so much, and so I saw this, I'm like, I have to give it a try, but I also am like really scared I'm gonna hate it. So we'll see. I'll update y'all in a Read with Kayla post, obviously. We'll see. Next, we have Cinder by Marissa Meyer. This is a book that I had never heard of, and I actually bought this. No, I only bought this like last month, but I had planned, I would put it on my TBR before I even joined Bookstagram, because I did a post on my main Instagram, I'm gonna find that post, about reading YA and how I really love reading YA. I gotta find that post now. And so I just kind of was like, yeah, you know, what's y'all's favorite YA books? I'm, 25 years old and I still love YA, whatever, no big deal. And I got a response from, where is it? Where's my YA post? Here we go. So the post was this one. It's me in a jumpsuit with a bunch of YA books. It says, hi, I'm a 25-year-old woman who is still obsessed with YA fiction, and I had written a blog post about it. And so then I asked, what's your current favorite book? And then on the post, I got a comment from Rachel Hollis. I kid you not. There it is. Miss Rachel Hollis commented on my post. Don't know how she found it. I must have used a hashtag that she follows. And she said, I'm 37 and I still love YA. Always have, always will. My favorites are Twilight, obvi, Cinder, Hunger Games, and the Graceling series. I had never heard of Cinder, the Graceling series, and then I started seeing Cinder everywhere. And so I was like, okay, well, here's the deal. If Rachel Hollis tells me I have to read something, I'm gonna read it. So I went and I bought Cinder. And it is a series. But I just have the first one. The Lunar Chronicles is the series name. So we're gonna give it a try. And then once I joined Bookstagram, everyone was talking about it. I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll read it. Even in the future, the story begins with once upon a time. Humans and androids crowd the raucous streets of New Beijing. A deadly plague ravages the population. From space, a ruthless lunar people watch, waiting to make their move. No one knows the Earth's fate hinges on one girl. 16-year-old Cinder, a gifted mechanic, is a cyborg. She's a second-class citizen with a mysterious past and is reviled by her stepmother. But when her life becomes intertwined with the handsome Prince Kai's, she suddenly finds herself at the center of an intergalactic struggle, a forbidden attraction. Caught between duty and freedom, loyalty and betrayal, she must uncover secrets about her past in order to protect her world's future. Because there is something unusual about Cinder, something others would kill for. Dun, dun, dun. So thanks Rachel Hollis. I'm sure you will never see this video, but thanks for the book recommendation all those months ago. Okay, next we have, a book by one of my favorite authors. This is The Thousandth Floor by Katharine McGee. Katharine McGee, who wrote American Royals and Majesty, that I love so much. This was her first series. It is a trilogy. I have the other two as well. I bought the whole series in once, but I haven't read it yet. This looks like it's also like American Royals written in 4 POVs, which is really cool. So that's kind of like her thing, clearly. But let's read about this series. New York City as you've never seen it before. A 1,000-story tower stretching into the sky, a glittering vision of the future where anything is possible if you want it enough. Welcome to Manhattan 2118. 100 years in the future, New York is a city of innovation and dreams. Everyone there wants something, and everyone has something to lose. Lita Cole's flawless exterior belies a secret addiction to a drug she never should have tried and a boy she never should have touched. Eris Dodd Ratson's beautiful, carefree life falls to pieces when a heartbreaking betrayal tears her family apart. Rylan Meyer's job on one of the highest floors sweeps her into a world and a romance she never imagined. But will this new life cost Rylan her old one? Wat Bakrati is a tech genius with a secret. He knows everything about everyone, but when he's hired to spy for an upper floor girl, he finds himself caught in a complicated web of lies. And living above everyone else on the 1,000th floor is Avery Fuller. Ooh, so 5 POVs. The girl genetically designed to be perfect. The girl who seems to have it all, yet is tormented by the one thing she can never have. Amid breathtaking advancement and high-tech luxury, 5 teenagers struggle to find their place in the top of the world. But when you're this high up, there's nowhere to go but down. I'm really excited. This might be the first one I read. I'm really excited about this. This sounds really good. Okay, next one. This is one I've had literally for years. I kid you not. But I hadn't ever read it, and I haven't really been quite in a Sarah Dessen mood lately. But this is The Moon and More by Sarah Dessen, which I have had forever. I love Sarah Dessen, one of my favorite books of all time. One that I'd probably argue is actually my favorite book of all time is Just Listen. And so I love Sarah Dessen. I bought this book when it first came out and literally never read it. So we're gonna do it. October is the month, y'all. We're gonna read this. The perfect life. At first glance, Emmeline seems to have it all. A great boyfriend, a close-knit family, an idyllic beach town to call home. But now, in the summer before college, Emmeline wonders if perfect is good enough. Then she meets Theo, an ambitious young New Yorker assisting on a documentary film about a reclusive local artist. He's sophisticated and exciting and thinks Emmeline is destined for bigger things. Emmeline wants the moon and more, but can she balance where she comes from and where she's going? I know I'm going to love it because I love Sarah Dessen, but there it is. Okay, and then my last 2 books are both by Madeline Miller. It is The Song of Achilles and Cersei. My Greek myth heart is very happy, so we're going to read these. Let's start with Song of Achilles. A tale of gods and goddesses, kings and queens, immortal fame, and the human heart. Achilles, the best of all the Greeks, son of the cruel sea goddess Thetis, and the legendary king Peleus, is strong, swift, and beautiful, irresistible to all who meet him. Patroclus is an awkward young prince exiled from his homeland after an act of shocking violence. Brought together by chance, they forge an inseparable bond, despite risking God's wrath. The God's wrath. They are trained by the centaur Chiron in the art of war and medicine, but when the word comes that Helen of Sparta has been kidnapped, all the heroes of Greece are called upon to lay siege to Troy in her name. Seduced by the promise of a glorious destiny, Achilles joins their cause, and torn between love and fear for his friend, Patroclus follows. Little do they know that the cruel fates will test them both as never before and demand a terrible sacrifice. So there's the Song of Achilles. Then we have Cersei. And Cersei says, in the house of Helios, god of the sun and mightiest of the Titans, a daughter is born. But Cersei is a strange child, not powerful like her father, nor viciously alluring like her mother. Turning to the world of mortals for companionship, she discovers that she does possess power. The power of witchcraft, which can transform rivals into monsters and menace the gods themselves. Threatened, Zeus banishes Cersei to a deserted island where she hones her occult... Oh my goodness, I can't talk today, y'all. I really can't. Where she hones her occult craft and crosses paths with many of the most famous figures in all of mythology, including the Minotaur, Daedalus and his doomed son Icarus, the murderer Medea, and of course, wily Odysseus. But there is danger too, for a woman who stands alone. and Cersei unwittingly draws the wrath of both men and gods, ultimately finding herself pitted against one of the most terrifying and vengeful of the Olympians. To protect what she holds dear, Cersei must summon her strength and choose once and for all whether she belongs with the gods she is born from or the mortals she has come to love. So, 10 books, 1 month. Let's see what October holds. So if you liked this video, give me a big old thumbs up. Go ahead down in the comments, let me know what you are going to be reading in October. Hit subscribe if you are new, and I'll talk to you all in my next video. Bye!